Hello and welcome to Monday's Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
A mother tells of her tiny baby screams whilst in the care of the nurse accused of murder and attempted murder at the Countess of Chester Hospital. More harrowing evidence from the trial of Lucy Letby.
Knitting warm clothes for winter and watching every penny. First-hand accounts of the cost of living crisis from the People's Pantry in Ellesmere Port.
I know all these sad little details, and I'm 79. Do I really need to be watching me meet it every minute of the day?
Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt that some people that don't want me here.
Strong words from a star striker. So has Ronaldo finished at United?
The star name joining the fight for funding at one of our region's best-loved theatres.
And some gorgeous weather across the northwest this weekend. All change over the next few days. Some quite wet and windy conditions moving in. The forecast is coming up.
Well, first tonight, a mother has described hearing one of her twin boys scream while in the care of the nurse accused of murdering him.
The mum told the court it was a sound that shouldn't have come from a tiny baby. Lucy Letby is accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill another 10 while she was working at the Countess of Chester Hospital's neonatal unit.
Our correspondent Rob Smith has been following the trial at Manchester Crown Court and some distressing evidence from the twins' mother. Rob, what else has been heard in court today?
Yeah, that mother cried as she gave evidence in this court today, evidence that included telling a jury that she found her son with, quote, blood coming out of his mouth. She said that her baby boy was in the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital. He's known in these proceedings as Child E, can't be identified for legal reasons, and she told the court that he was in a room there with Lucy Letby. Now, the jury were played a video of that room, of the door the mother walked into that night in August 2015. She said she had gone to the unit to drop off breast milk for her prematurely born son and his twin brother, both of whom were in incubators at the time. And she said that when she got there, she heard a horrendous sound, more a scream than a cry, coming from her baby, and then she noticed the blood. The court heard that she asked Lucy Letby what was wrong and was told that a feeding tube would have rubbed, causing that bleeding. And she said that the nurse told her to go back upstairs in the hospital to the maternity ward where she herself was being cared for. And in her evidence to the jury, she said that she did that, and she did that in spite of thinking that something was very wrong. She went up to that ward because she trusted Ms. Letby completely. Child E later deteriorated, and his mother had to come back down to the unit to see medics working on him, trying to save his life. Unfortunately, they could not, and he died in the early hours of the next day. After his death, the court heard that the mother was presented by Lucy Letby with a memory box containing photos, containing footprints, and containing a lock of her son's hair. The prosecution alleged that Miss Letby murdered Child E by injecting air into his bloodstream. Now, under cross-examination from the nurse's defence lawyer, the baby's mother was asked if what she had actually seen around his mouth was a dark liquid with flecks in it. She replied it was blood. She was then asked actually if there had been a conversation. It was put to her that there hadn't been a conversation about any tube causing any kind of irritation. She said, I disagree. And she was asked if her son wasn't as upset, quote, to the degree described when she heard that sound when she went into the unit. Her response was to say it was horrendous. Lucy Letby, who's 32 and originally from Hereford, denies murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 10 others between 2015 and 2016. This trial continues tomorrow.
Robert, Manchester Crown Court, thank you.
More of today's news, and a man has gone on trial accused of murdering a woman and burying her body in a forest in Lancashire. Preston Crown Court has heard that 51-year-old Andrew Burfield told police that he'd accidentally killed Katie Kenyon when throwing an axe at a tree. He denies murder.
A serving Lancashire police officer accused of the attempted murder of a woman at a hotel has appeared in court. The woman was found at the hotel in Manchester last Thursday and remains in hospital. James Riley, who's 27, was remanded into custody and will appear at Manchester Crown Court next month.
People on Merseyside are being asked to hand in their weapons as part of a new crackdown on knife crime. Searches on open land are also being carried out. It's all part of a week-long initiative to try to reduce violence and aggression and take weapons out of circulation.
Look around your home. You may have some weapons sitting around which are now actually illegal, so the likes of knuckle dusters, flick knives, that you may never intend to take out into the public space. Well, actually it's now an offence under the Offensive Weapons Act to store them in your home address. So this week we are running a knife surrender or a weapon surrender. So our ask is to wrap up a weapon into some cardboard or a tube or something before it's transported, or ring 101.
And many of you may remember that last week we told you about James Fenton, a 100-year-old Burma war veteran from the Isle of Man. He was going to London for the Remembrance Day service at the Cenotaph. Not only did several people stop to thank him after the service, he also got a special shout-out from the pilot during his flights.
How lovely.
Yeah, great to see. Next to an issue which we know is keeping many of you awake at night, the rising fuel bills.
Yes, more and more community centres and charities are having to step in to help people struggling with the cost of living crisis. Among them, the People's Pantry in Ellesmere Port, who have more people coming through their doors, especially now they've been designated one of the area's warm spaces.
Our reporter Anna Yoso spent the day there. Her report's the first of a series this week, building up to the Chancellor's autumn statement on Thursday.
Preparing for a long, cold winter, these pensioners are busy knitting blankets to avoid turning on their boilers and keeping a very close eye on their smart meters.
Well, I'm sort of obsessed with this, which is healthy in one way, but is it good for my health? Because I'm constantly watching it. And now I can tell you exactly how much I use all day long, how much extra. I use extra Friday because I get my hair done. So naturally I have to shower then and I have to wash my hair, and that puts it up about another 20p. And I know all these sad little details. And I'm 79. Do I really need to be watching me meter every minute of the day?
How have your habits changed then?
Well, mainly not getting showered. I get washed in the sink. I personally hope I don't stink, but that's a price I'm prepared to pay. I'd sooner stink than get stuck with me bills.
The centre's a designated warm space or heat hub, offering shelter for people struggling to heat their homes. Linda's a regular at the Knit and Natter. She's 75, a widow, and survives solely on her state pension.
The other day I got my boiler serviced, and I had to have the heating on for that, and it went, usually it's about 50p a day, but it was over £2, and that was just for an hour.
And how did that make you feel?
Scared, because, you know, I'm thinking, I hope it's not a cold winter.
Jasmine has 2 young children and a partner with a full-time job. She describes herself as a stay-at-home mum, but these days she tries to avoid staying at home as much as possible.
I have to go out for the fact of saving the electric and gas. Get heating, tea, coffee, saving your electric at home, you're not putting it on at home. It's gone up dramatically. Every time you boil a kettle, it adds up. So it's like...
Really? Gosh, yeah. You are that focused, aren't you?
Yeah, I watch it, yeah.
You're literally watching every penny.
I'm looking back into doing a full-time work, but instead of doing part-time, I'm looking to go full-time. Only for the fact is to bring in the money and obviously be able to do things with my girls. But still then, that might not happen because obviously childcare costs. And, you know, me being a stay-at-home mum saves on the childcare costs. Where if I went out to work, it's going to be the childcare cost that's going to cripple us realistically.
The kitchen's run by volunteers, serving up hearty low-cost breakfasts or free hot drinks. Sue worked in catering until she was forced to give up her job due to ill health. Staff here have helped her through some difficult times. This is her way of giving back.
Everybody is going to have a place like this. Even if it's just come to sit somewhere where it's warm and you can have a cup of tea, a piece of toast and a chat. You just need more people to be around and make you feel as if you are worth something instead of nothing.
You see some that get lots of benefits, and you get like the likes of me and Sue that are on a basic universal credit, and we can't survive on the basic universal credit. Not a hope, is there? Because I said to you, I pick up 326, they take £80 out for me water rates, so I'm left with £200 odd. Now my electric alone is £60 a week. Then I have to do my gas, so I don't put my gas in. So this place is going to be a lifesaver for me, because I know I can come here and sit and get warm.
We know that they can't afford the heating on. You know, when people come in, you'll see them, they've got layers on, you know, with knitting blankets at the minute, just to keep warm.
Somebody came in today and told you that they hadn't had gas in their house for 2 years.
Yeah. So he's not been able to shower or have a bath, not been able to cook properly, or no heating in his house, not many clothes, because he's living on £83 a week. There are people in absolute crisis.
Offering people a refuge, a place to get in out of the cold when the cost of heating their home is just too high. Anna Yosef, ITV News.
It is a worry for many people in staying with the cost of living crisis, and a warning that young renters, single parents and large households are being hit hardest by those soaring fuel bills. That's why Blackpool has been named as the most likely area in the country to experience fuel poverty.
Well, now the town's community centres are opening their doors to provide residents not just a warm space, but also a chance to get some household chores done without using their own electricity. And in Liverpool, some homes are being insulated for free.
It's certainly a novel idea. Here's more with our reporter, Tim Scott.
Like a warm blanket thrown around your home, these houses in Liverpool are having insulated cladding attached to their outer walls. It's part of a scheme that'll benefit those on low incomes and will make a real difference with energy costs on the rise and winter setting in. Across the Liverpool city region, there's now a £60 million pot of government money to retrofit and insulate people's homes. The kind of work being done here means these houses will become warmer and more energy efficient. And in the middle of a cost of living crisis, that's going to mean cheaper fuel bills for the people who live here. Dawn Hinton's house had the cladding fitted the day before we met. She'd already noticed the difference it made.
The insulation, it's retaining the heat. I know that specifically because of the gas monitor. It was still 21 degrees this morning when I got up, and when I went to bed last night it was 22.
What would it normally be?
Oh, below, normally about 16.
Looking to the future, how do you think this is going to affect your bills?
Oh, it'll be life-changing, life-enhancing, because it means that I'm on a fixed income, so I can redirect money for other things.
And it's not just about cladding. The Sustainable Warmth Fund is also enabling the likes of solar panels and heat pumps to be fitted in houses. The pumps are more energy efficient and greener as they run off electricity instead of gas. In Blackpool, where new figures show people have the highest potential for fuel poverty in England, the Grange Community Centre, as part of their Winter Warm Club, is offering local residents the use of tumble dryers for free to help keep their energy costs down this winter.
We don't have a tumble dryer, and I'm finding that because we're trying to cut down on costs, we aren't having the heating on as much. And so when I'm doing washing for a family of 4, putting it on the radiators and on the maiden, but it's just not drying. And basically the Grange are offering the 3 tumble dryers to come and put your name down and dry your load of washing.
Sounds like a good idea.
It is a great idea. It's excellent. I've been able to put mainly my towels in and some washing and stuff, just leave it for an hour and take it back out again.
As well as the free tumble dryers, the Grange is also offering cheap groceries and energy-saving advice to help local people through winter. Not everyone, though, will have these kinds of services in their community or be able to access the likes of free home insulation. Help, though, is on hand.
If you are worried, it's really important to know that you're not alone. There is help out there, and if you can reach out to support, reach out to Citizens Advice, ask us for help, and we should be able to help you to find a way forward.
While the cost of living crisis is set to run well into next year, the likes of our councils, community centres and Citizens Advice can make a difference. And those who are struggling to make ends meet should get in touch with those organisations to access all of the support they can offer. Tim Scott,
ITV News.
Yeah, just a reminder that the Chancellor's autumn statement is on Thursday, and we'll have continued coverage right across all of ITV's platforms. We will have another special report on the cost of living crisis tomorrow night. OK, still to come on tonight's programme.
Ronaldo is not the only sports story in town. We salute Natasha Jonas, our region's new 3-time world boxing champion.
And maybe you were lucky enough to see that beautiful sunrise across the northwest this morning. But what is it they say about red sky in the morning? There's certainly some unsettled weather on the way. The details are coming up.
Here's what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up on the programme, the new British-French deal to try to fix the migrant crisis. More money, more patrol officers and more collaboration. But will this do anything to stop the crossings to Dover? Ronaldo's shocking claims against Manchester United and how the club has responded.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man.
And why Dolly Parton's getting $100 million of Jeff Bezos' money. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
The bragging rights belong to Burnley after the first East Lancashire derby in 6.5 years. The Clarets returned to the top of the Championship table with a 3-0 win over arch-rivals Blackburn Rovers. And Wigan won the other North West derby, beating Blackpool 2-1 to drag them into the bottom 3. Elsewhere, Preston lost, so let's turn to League One, where Morecambe held Portsmouth to a 1-1 draw. Fellow strugglers Fleetwood also earned a point with a 2-2 draw at Bristol Rovers. Accrington lost while Bolton dropped out of the playoff spots thanks to a goalless draw with Cambridge. Stockport continued to climb the League 2 table after beating Newport 2-1. Crewe secured their first win in 8 games, beating Colchester 1-0. Salford City's playoff hopes were dented by a goalless draw with Wimbledon. Elsewhere, Barrow and Rochdale lost, but Tranmere Rovers managed a 1-1 draw at Swindon. Now to a chance for some kind of rugby revenge tonight. It was heartbreak for Formby's Holly Aitchison as England's Rugby World Cup dream ended in defeat to New Zealand in the final. So tonight, the attention switches to the Rugby League World Cup with England's women taking on, yes, New Zealand in the semi-final.
Next has been credited with playing a vital role in the careers of some of the region's legendary actors over the years. Now, some of those stars are speaking out in support of a much-loved theatre.
Yes, former Coronation Street star Julie Hesmond-Halsh and John Henshaw have joined protests over the Arts Council's decision to cut funding for the Oldham's Coliseum Theatre.
They claim regional theatres are being unfairly targeted with cuts, putting hundreds of jobs at risk. Our reporter Jamal Williams-Thomas has the story.
The Arts Council England office in Manchester. Today, a scene of a protest by the Actors Union Equity, angry that the Oldham Coliseum Theatre has had a major slice of its funding cut from next year.
70% of the organisations that have had their funding completely removed are outside London. How on earth is that levelling up? That's dumbing down.
It will lose around £600,000 a year, about 35% of their funding.
Obviously, losing the MPO status was a big hit and shock for the building and everyone attached to it. We have been supported by the Arts Council for decades, essentially, and so we were surprised, but also we do appreciate the Arts Council funding to this point.
The theatre is where many actors have plied their trade, a number of them going on to star in Coronation Street, amongst other television and film productions. Julie Hesmond-Halsh was there to show her support and is concerned that the cuts go against the government's Levelling Up initiative.
This isn't a campaign against the Arts Council by any means, but I have never known such a reaction against one organisation losing their MPO status. In terms of everything that the Arts Council wants to do in terms of bringing art and culture into small post-industrial northern towns, places that aren't very well situated in terms of art and culture, let's say, because of the cuts and because of austerity and because of years and years of stuff happening. It's just to do this to Oldham now just seems absolute madness, you know.
An NPO, or a National Portfolio Organisation, receives funding from Arts Council England for 3 years. At the end of the cycle, they then have to reapply. And although future funding isn't guaranteed for an NPO, This unsuccessful application has come as a bit of a shock, as the Oldham Coliseum has been successful in applications for years. In a statement, the Arts Council say, "This was the Arts Council's most competitive ever investment programme, and as a result we have had to make difficult decisions. We understand that this is unwelcome news for organisations who have not been offered funding, and we have a package of support in place to help those organisations. We have ring-fenced other funding over 3 years to support the development of cultural activity in Oldham, and will be working with Oldham Council to ensure this money will have the greatest impact on the town." Whilst a letter has been handed in to the Arts Council urging them to reverse the decision, the message from the Coliseum to the public is simple: keep supporting local arts and attending the theatre. Jamal Williams-Thomas, ITV News, Manchester.
And we'll keep across that story. Now it's all changed with the weather. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, a very good evening to you. There have been a few glimmers of brightness around today, but cloud has been building, patchy rain and drizzle moving in across the region from the southwest, and more wet and windy weather pushing in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Unsettled the next few days, with showers never too far away. Low pressure systems will be sweeping in from the west as we go through the course of this week. There will be a few drier days, but blustery winds will feature. We avoid a frost though. The next few nights continue to be quite mild for our part of the world. Into this evening, patchy rain and drizzle will tend to die away, but it leaves behind some low cloud, mistiness and murk for a time. Then the skies will clear, and then through the early hours of tomorrow morning, a band of wet and windy weather sweeps up from the southwest. Tomorrow, it'll feel quite wet and windy to start the day, but mild, 8 or 9 Celsius, the overnight low. Tomorrow, the sun will be up at 7:37 and setting at 4:13. Quite a wet rush hour, I would have thought, for northwest England. As we go through the first part of the day, bands of showery rain sweep in. They're pushing northwards and eastwards during the morning, and winds will begin to ease off as well, but quite gusty for a time. Behind it, brighter skies, a largely dry end to the day, and temperatures, they're around average, 12, maybe 13 Celsius at best. Looking ahead, Wednesday should be a largely dry day. Cloudy though, and later on winds will get up, and there's another band of wet and windy weather moving through as we head into Thursday. That turns more showery later on in the day. Temperature wise, we're not doing too badly, just about avoiding a frost, but as we get towards the weekend, perhaps a little bit chillier both by day and night. Enjoy your evening.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Joe, thank you. Well, that's just about it for tonight.
Tomorrow we'll be looking at the difficulties over 50s are having when applying for jobs, and we'd love to have your experiences too.
Yeah, you've also been telling us how you got on in the scramble for Peter Kay tickets. This from Mike Holden. He said he got a Twitter notification on Saturday, so he got straight onto the queue, and half an hour later he got a pair for 2025. Happy days.
Happy days, lucky Mike. But even though the tickets have gone on sale at the 2010 prices, English Jen said, "I don't know how people can afford them. I thought people were skint." See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching.